Ladies and gentlemen, there is a saying about the game of chess, that chess is like a body of water where a gnat can drink and an elephant can bathe. Chess is for everybody, and it is so deep and vast that you truly can always find something special. And you will be seeing something special, so thank you for clicking on this video. I've been making chess content for half a decade at this point, and almost every day something new comes across my desk. Today I will be showing you a game out of the absolutely genius mind of the young Turkish prodigy, Yazkan Erdogmus. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. We are at the Grand Swiss Tournament 2025. It's round number 4. I will also show you some other absolutely breathtaking games. Please watch this video, because in this video, we are not featuring Magnus Carlsen. We are not featuring Hikaru Nakamura. We're not even going to feature some of the young Indian stars. This video will really test if you are ready for the next generation of chess superstars. That's all I have to say. Here we go. Erdogmus is playing with the black pieces, and he's playing against Aditya Mittal, 2600 level player from India, also a young guy, hoping to get into 2700. Sit back, relax, throw me up on the smart TV while you run errands in your living room. I'll tell you when you gotta lock in. The game begins with an English opening, c4, e6. Knight c3, d5. Black is playing in the style of the Queen's Gambit declined, looking to put pressure on the center, which is why White responds right away with the move d4. Already on the third move, rather than playing the traditional Queen's Gambit declined, reinforcing the center, Erdogmus plays a strange move, pawn takes c4. This is a free pawn, but it allows White to very quickly play the move e4, taking full control of the center and trying to take back the pawn on c4 with the bishop. Erdogmus obviously knew that that was the best move, so he strikes back immediately with c5. He has clearly prepared a non-standard opening for his opponent, Aditya Mittal. Mittal is one of the best prepared opponents in the world. Like, his opening preparation is amazing. So it's good to get him off his comfort zone. White plays the move pawn to d5. Black captures, and now is like, look, I'm not going to be able to defend this pawn, so let me just develop my knight, my bishop, my castle, my king. So bishop to d6, we have bishop c4, and now, rather than putting the knight on the standard square on f6, we have the non-standard square e7. So it's quite clear that Black is very happy developing in a non-standard fashion. And Erdogmus, by the way, has some really, really deep opening preparation, both with White and Black. He is very quickly becoming my favorite player. He might already be my favorite player. So h3, look at White's time. Mittal spends 15 minutes. Now, if you ask Mittal what is the most natural move here, he would tell you knight f3 in half a second. But he kind of got worried that Black would pin the knight to the queen, and then, maybe I should go here, maybe I should play h3. So he plays h3, but it's a little bit slow because it allows Black to very quickly castle. And now Black shows that he had no interest developing the bishop at all. He develops the knight. So he develops the knight to d7 with ideas of going to b6, where it would target White's bishop, targets White's pawn. Obviously, the game is not going to get too spicy just yet. Both guys are committing their pieces. Here, knight b6, and Mittal is like, you can take my bishop. You can take it. Because if you take my bishop, he's kind of already a big pawn anyway. He's sort of an imposter in this connect 4 sequence. You can trade. I will reinforce my center. I'll put my rook here, put my other rook here, put my bishop out. I'm going to be very happy. And it's true. White does a very, very open, very airy position, right? Erdogmus is like, I think that's a good trade for me anyway. Knight for bishop. Now I will develop my knight. And then my next move is to put my bishop over here. So both guys kind of get what they want from the opening. They got all their pieces out. Knights, bishops, castle their king. Their rooks are coming next. And then the queen. And now it's time for the middle game. So Mittal plays knight e4. He's like, I don't want you to have the bishop pair. I don't like your blockade here. If we trade pieces, my pawn will be very strong. It might become a queen one day. More on that later. More on that later. Black, completely unconcerned. Bishop to f5. You can take my bishop. If you take my bishop, I'm very happy. I replace it with the queen. My bishop is strong. I'll play b6. Put my rooks, in the middle. Life is good. Okay. Knight takes. Queen takes. Queen b3. Pawn's under attack. We play b6. Black is very solid. Very nice position for Black. Totally equal. What's the game plan, right? Mittal plays a4. In the long run, he wants to play a5, using his flank pawn, wants to break into Black's position, create some weaknesses, maybe go win those pawns in the long run. Sneak around the back, right? Something like this. Yeah, a5. Erdogmus completely shuts that down and is like, look, I know I have a weakness, but I will defend it. And it's never going to be that much of a liability. Plus, white also, we kind of have mutually assured destruction of the pawns. Okay, rook e1. Okay, rook e8. Not much is happening, but bishop e3 is a nice move, keeping the tension in the position. White plays rook a2. Now, what's really crazy is the move rook a2 is the beginning of the end. How is that possible? How did this move? Well, it allows black now to kind of take control of the position. He establishes bishop to e4. The idea of this move is to obviously take the knight and open up white's king. So white could move the knight, defend the knight, or move the bishop so the queen defends the knight. So what does white do? Bishop, knight, oh, okay, moves the knight. Bishop d2 was better, but he moves the knight, and he wants to take the bishop. Erdogmus now, not just with bishop e4, but also with knight to h4, begins swarming the king, and is ready to give away his bishop to establish control with the rook, bring his second rook, and bring his queen to launch an attack on the white king. And he's currently evaluating that his position has better long-term prospects. So Matal, whoa. Matal in this position senses that it might be the moment that you got to do something. So he plays bishop c5. The bishop bulldozes the pawn so that the rook can see the bishop. But Erdogmus plays queen g6, threatening checkmate, supported both by the bishop and by the knight, which means you got to defend the square. And white plays g3. But Erdogmus is, first of all, he's got a dog in his name. This man is a dog. Like he is, when he senses something, he's got this killer instinct. He is ready to sink his teeth in. He plays the move bishop g2. What a move! Giving up the knight. But if you take the knight, the queen will see the king once the bishop moves. Not to mention, there is a peekaboo happening of rooks, and the bishop is still hanging. So, white now plays the amazing bishop e7, both young guys trading haymakers, defended by the rook, hitting the knight. Erdogmus plays the best move, bishop takes h3. He takes a pawn. Now his bishop's not under fire from the king, and this can't be taken, and if you take, I'm going to take the rook. So white plays king to h2, attacking the bishop. And now comes knight into g2. Oh my goodness, the bishop hangs, but the bishop is defending the knight. And the knight is attacking the rook, so the rook has to move up to e5. He finds it. Now the best move from black is f6. Erdogmus finding it with 6 minutes remaining on the clock. The rook is hanging. White plays queen. Look at this wicked stuff. If you take the free pawn, you pin the pawn to the queen. Queen b6. Now, again, the best move from Erdogmus. Knight f4. He threatens to take the rook because the queen is defended by the knight, which is hanging, but you can't take it because of queen to g2, which would be mate defended by the bishop, which is defended by the knight. Rook e4, attacking the knight. Queen h5, brilliant move. If you take the knight with the pawn, I have bishop f5 check, and then I swarm your king. If you take the knight with the rook, I have bishop g4 check. Matal takes. Bishop g4 discovered check. The king slides back to g1. Now I grab the bishop. Now I am straight up threatening to just swarm you on the back rank and win the game. White's time is very limited. For the record, remember the move rook a2 was the beginning of the end? I was not lying. If the rook was defending the first rank, white would play d6 here and be on the verge of winning the game. Rook a1 back. That is the important move. Now, rook to e8, threatening rook e1 check. We have rook to f1 defending himself. Rook to e1 is still the best move. Erdogmus plays not the best move. He attacks the rook, and now the move rook to h4 gets white back into the game. But he plays d6. And folks, from this point forward, the teenage prodigy from Turkey plays a breathtaking game. Rook to e2, coming in, attacking the knight, and this is still under fire. White plays rook to h4, counterattacking the queen, counterattacking the bishop. The queen slides over here, and we have queen b5, setting up a queen trade and trying to promote this pawn. Rook e5, getting the rook out of the way, counterattacking the queen. d7. Now, d7 is a blunder. But it's only a blunder if you are an absolute genius. And in this position, Erdogmus, the teenage superstar of Turkish chess, played rook takes d2. But now white can go check here and make a queen. There are 2 queens on the board. Certainly you have to take the queen and then play that ensuing endgame. No. Because in this position, he had spotted checkmate in 6 moves. And it begins by sacrificing his queen. Queen takes f2 check. Rook takes f2, rook to e1 check, the king goes to h2, the rook takes the rook, the king takes the bishop, the rook goes to h1, the king goes to g4, the pawn goes to f5, king to h5, pawn to g6, check, mate. 2 queens on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 checkmates in 1 for white. None of them are possible because the rooks and the pawns swarm the king, beginning with the sacrifice of the queen on the f2 square. Erdogmus, you should have taken a bow for this game. This is the best finish of 2025. Nobody will beat it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And he spotted all of this with 1 minute on his clock. The chess world is absolutely effed. We don't curse on this channel. We try to keep it family friendly. The chess world is forked. This dude is going to be a problem. Now, the motto of this video is going to be the next generation. Every game that I will be showing you is going to have incredible elements of the exact same thing. Erdogmus now has 3 out of 4. This is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave versus Marc-André Maurizzi. Maurizzi is the defending French champ. Maurizzi is like number 4 or 5, I think, in France. He's 2,600. He's a young guy, might be 16, 17 years old. MVL is a monster. World Blitz champion, okay, former 2,800 player, and you know, absolutely genius guy. He would be the number 1 in France, but they have Firouzja, so he's number 2 in France. Marc-André is only coming up and up, right? So e4, c6, Caro-Kann. Advanced variation, bishop f5. We have short variation. This is the main line at the high level. Black plays knight e7 and c5. So this is all very, very standard. It looks like white can take the pawn, but it greatly destabilizes the center. Instead of taking the pawn, right? Instead of taking the pawn, we have bishop e3, knight c6, knight d7, and we get a very slow maneuvering type of game. White has a space advantage. Black might get, you know, the knight to the c4 square. Black might create counterplay with the pawns, and black, you're always looking at f6. So white is going to try to establish some dominance. Black is going to try to get around the pawns. All right, let's begin. Rook c1, a6. So b5, a5 is still possible. There's b5, which means knight b6, knight c4 is going to happen. Maybe a5 in the future. White is going to try to put the knight on c5. Like right now. Knight to b6. So this pawn is being given up to try to secure control of c4 and maybe create counterplay down the queen side. MVL takes it because he doesn't believe his young opponent. Marc-André continues with his plan, not believing his dinosaur old man of an opponent. I'm just kidding, but, you know, they are like literally double in age, of like 34 and 17 or something like that. a4, trying to clear out the queen side. Knight b4. Marc-André grabs the pawn on b4 right back. We have knight takes b4, bishop b4, and queen b3. Okay, so we're just going to trade these pawns and probably make a draw, right? I mean, the Frenchmen aren't going to... Uh-oh, I sack my rook to win the bishop. Pawn takes, queen a3. Nope, this is not going to have a peaceful resolution. Black has 2 passed pawns, so they're going to try to come down over here. I don't have a rook, but I have a bishop and a knight. So I have a knight and a bishop, right? Knight and a bishop for a rook. That's the current material balance. Queen a5. This is crazy, okay? So if you do this incorrectly, black will simply march these pawns down. You're not going to have the defensive capabilities, right? So d5 is a crazy counterattacking move. You are now giving away another pawn for free, but you're trying to establish a dominant central presence. Marc-Andrea plays b4, which is the best move. How do you defend against 2 pawns like this? Maybe you won't. How do you defend against 3 pawns like this, by the way? Anybody have any solutions? Because this is absolutely terrifying. Like, this takes a nervous, an absolutely bulletproof nervous system, which, by the way, MVL has. f4. MVL decides that the way he's going to fight against this is to go hunt Marc-Andrea's king and bring him out of his castle with his bare hands. f4, f5, f6. He senses that black doesn't have enough time, and guess what? He's right. Marc-Andrea pushes the wrong pawn, and now white is better, because you can't play this or this, and I will still continue this attack. I will force you to come forward, and then I'm going to try to bring the queen to h6 and checkmate you. Marc-Andrea takes the pawn on a4. We have bishop d3 attacking the king. The king has nothing defending him, by the way. It's just the king and pawns. Everybody else has abandoned him to invest fully in the pawns on the queen side. f5. b3. I mean, someone's going to go down. And both guys are managing their clocks very well. Maxime is one of the fastest players in the world. He almost never gets into time trouble, folks. Marc-Andrea is about to be shown why, Maxime is a former 2800 player. Queen c7. Trying to win the pawn, target the bishop, and defend the king. Queen h4 is still the best move. Queen h4, queen e5, and the absolutely not human move, knight c2. Giving up the knight so that the bishop replaces the knight, defended by the queen, attacking the queen, and then you try to get in over here and checkmate the king. The line that I'm talking about is queen h4, and here knight c2, bc2, bishop d4. This is the winning idea for white. Whether that happens or not is to be determined. Instead of that, we have this. And this is the wrong move, because when bishop h6 happens, Marc-Andrea plays the outstanding c2. And the point is that if I take the rook, I queen. I'm in time. So MVL goes queen b4. This is a bit of a panic move. Actually, the best move in the position was, again, unbelievable move, queen f2. I can't even begin to explain the move, queen f2. Queen b4. Marc-Andrea plays queen e5, missing a winning chance with queen to c3, but he might get another chance because his pawns are simply too strong. Rook c4! A move sent in from the gods themselves, sacrificing 2 rooks at the same time. You take one of them, I'm going to take the knight with a check, so now you have to trade off the queens. But now black's pawns are simply too powerful. Rook c8. It's still equal if you play pawn takes g6, apparently. But MVL plays defense, and rook a2 comes in, and he is simply losing. You sacrifice, but it's just not enough. Rook a1, I'm going to play b2, rook c1, rook c3, it doesn't really matter. And Marc-Andrea Maurizzi wins back-to-back games. In the previous round, he defeated Vladislav Artemiev 2660 FIDE. And he is now up 15 rating points and 3 out of 4 performance rating, 2,880. Yo, the young guys are on fire. They're absolutely cooking in this tournament. I just want to very quickly show the line just for the chess lovers that are watching. The saving idea here was FG immediately, because after HG you have this, and I queen with a check, bishop c1, rook c1, king f2, and if you play b2, rook b7. And I'm in time to create problems for your king and defend my own. Marc-Andrea wins. Now, I have more games for you, by the way. Like, it really, I mean, there are other players that are having amazing tournaments. I will just quickly show you a couple of them. By the way, just, you gotta love Rapport. Can I just say, by the way, Pretka, another Russian grandmaster who no longer plays under the Russian flag. I think we're up to like 10. You got 10 Russian grandmasters in this tournament that are representing either Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, United States. The list goes on and on. We have a Leningrad Dutch defense. I mean, I gotta tell you, like, I really love my guy. Rapport. He just plays the Leningrad Dutch in a tournament, like an opening you would absolutely never see in classical chess. Pretka, by the way, plays a complete sideline, like knight d2, e4. So we get a a type of Dutch I've like never seen ever. Rapport plays like this, hits the center, and immediately equalizes. He just strikes the center, rips it apart, and white castles, and from the beginning, Rapport just has a better position, which is very nice. He's better. It's really tough to know in these positions why black is better. Generally, I just think black's pieces coordinate in a way that the computer likes a bit better. Like, this bishop is not particularly strong. This bishop is much more strong, hitting a deeper base into the position. White's king is a little bit weaker. This knight is a little bit more stupid. This bishop will kind of struggle to get out. So Rapport now has to show why he's, you know, an absolute genius, and he will. He trades the structure in a way that he gets the open A file. White plays h4, which effectively gives away a pawn. Like, he's deliberately giving away the pawn on a2. He could have just played like a3, but then black would have went knight c4, right? So he goes here. Rapport tries to kick out the knight and goes into an endgame where he just has long-term pressure on white's position. It's not the computer's preferred choice, but white is up an hour on the clock. And what ultimately happens when you're up an hour on the clock is your opponent is going to blunder something, and Rapport just grabs a pawn, and he really didn't even have to sweat in this game. Now, what's funny is that Predke resigned in this position, I think, but it's not even that bad. He had to play g4, and then in this position, first he had to play rook f1 check. And the idea was to get out of the way of the d-pawn, but I think Predke was just sort of psychologically defeated. So Rapport gets another win. He's 3 out of 4. I have another game for you. Cristobal Henriquez from Chile versus Matthias Bluebaum from Germany. I've played him many times. He's been featured on this channel. I've managed to beat him in Blitz, but he's a very, very strong player. He's trying to get to 2,700. In this game, they traded off the horses. They really are not big fans. They played only with their bishops. It was a very complex Petrov, opposite side castling, which generally, as you know, is going to lead to some sort of crazy attacks. They tried, to their credit, but both guys played very, very defensively sounded. And ultimately, you got to realize, in the long run, the guy who has a 3 and a 4 is going to be better than the guy that has a 4, a doubled isolated, and a solo on the A file. It's just a matter of pawn structure. So what's going to happen is, if you trade the piano, okay, white kind of improved this structure, but ultimately, black still has the better structure, and the pawn is deep in the territory, so it's always a liability, and these pawns are a liability, and black is just better in every endgame. And ultimately, even if you trade down correctly, you're always suffering. This is a fork, by the way. I'm attacking this and the bishop, which is pinned here. So this is a problem, and if I win these pawns, this is a huge problem. And so Henriquez tries his best to defend, but now he's a pawn down. He could take on f7, but white is going to win the race. All right, I mean, like, white just wins the race of the pawn. If rook f7, you have c4, rook c1, etc. So g4, you try to get your own race going, but you lose another pawn, and like I said, this is just not going to work. Bishop c7 was a mistake, but it doesn't even matter, because even if you don't defend this completely perfectly, because of the time, or because, you know, like, this is just, you just can't stop this. You cannot stop these pawns. Bluebaum wins as well. He's also won 2 games in a row. He just beat Jon Ludvig Hammer, who's the number 3 in Norway, or maybe number 4, previous 2,700. So Bluebaum also with 3 points. And now I would like to show you the game of the round on the women's, and then I would like to show you 2 funny games, and then from the open, and then I will show you a little update. Oh, no. I wanted to show you one more game. I completely forgot. I'm going to show you one more game. How could I forget? It's been a big storyline of the tournament. I'm going to show you Divya Deshmukh versus Bassem Amin, grandmaster from Egypt. Divya has been a story of a tournament. She, not of the tournament, but, you know, she's playing in the Open, which is a big deal. There's only 2 women that are playing in the Open, her and Alexandra Goryachkina. If I'm not mistaken, there might be others, but those were the ones that I saw the most coverage about. If I'm mistaken, I will correct it in the next recap. Divya just won the Women's World Cup. And yes, chess is separated into Open and Women's. It's a extremely long and strange history. Like, if you look up the reason there is even a whole separate women's title system, as usual with FIDE, it really doesn't make much sense. And we're sort of in the era now where it would be cool if there was just one big open thing, but we're almost too far gone. It's like you can't abolish, you know, and yeah. But anyway, this is worth a whole separate thing. Obviously, Divya's 480 FIDE, 2,500 FIDE, so it will be a big challenge for her. But in the first round, she was playing her coach, and she had a great position, but she ended up losing that game. She's since made 2 draws against 2,650 FIDE-rated players. And in this game, it started out a little dicey, you know. Bassem put on good pressure. He had a very nice positional bind. This knight was totally dominated. And, you know, Divya could have kind of gotten upset with herself and was like, I have literally the worst knight of all time on b7. And white is just going to kind of consolidate, but she instead launched a vicious counterattack on the other side of the board Bassam couldn't quite convert the position, and Divya gained a lot of momentum on the king side. Bishop f5, queen g6, and before you knew it, it was a total mess of a position, even though she's literally playing with no knight. The knight just fell asleep on b7 in its stable, and then she won the pawn, which means the knight can activate on c5, and, well, more on that. By the way, she sacked her rook. Rook g4, completely brilliant move, ripping open the king, looking for queen h3 and queen g2. And guess who arrived for the party just in time? The knight. Knight c5. On the 40th move of the game, it arrived for knight e4, for knight d3 business, e4 business, while the queen and the rook wait to hunt down the king. Bassam ended up having to sacrifice his rook for the knight, trying to promote his own pawn, but white's attack is not as fast as black's attack. Bishop g4, rook g1, and in this position, the final touch, check, and back. Divya takes down a 2640 FIDE rated player. I'm not sure if this is her highest win. She's definitely beaten 25 and 2600 players in the past. She has a 50% score. She has a win against the 2640, a draw versus 2670, and a draw versus 2620. She lost to a 2640. I would love it if in the long run, there was one big field. This is really like the one activity in the world I don't understand why men and women are separate. I really don't. Judith Polgar has talked about it, and, you know, her point was like, if you tell people, men or women, to be 2,500 FIDE and you can be top 3, top 4 in the world, they will do that. And then you obviously have like the basement dwelling 300 ELO rated crowd that's like, men are inherently better. And I'm like, I don't actually think so. I've been talked about this, and I'm not going to get into a whole thing. It's really a numbers game. I mean, millions more men, even from a very young age as young boys, are put into chess. And as we see here, we'll see how the tournament finishes and everything, but I would love it. I would love it, you know, if we saw more of this. By the way, Godachkin is also 2 out of 4, I think, maybe 2.5. She's having a great tournament. So Divya, excellent result. And now I will show you Lagno versus Yushin Song. Lagno this was an amazing game. This was a Sicilian defense, super complicated game where she played f4, g4, like typical attacking Sicilian, and she just... You cannot ask for a more violent and threatening looking position. Black tried for counterplay. Yushin had a great game yesterday, but today Lagno showed that there are levels, experience matters. f6, absolutely ruthless on that side of the board. Total stability for the white king, total instability for the black king. And Lagno just like rook h7, queen h5, kick out the rook. King is just boxed in completely on all sides. And of course, in games like this, you know, you got to end things in style. Queen h6, rook f1, just like queen f6 is there. You can't, the bishop is literally trapped. Yeah, just, I mean, she played like the Terminator. Absolute Terminator. She has 3.5. She won this game, previous game versus 2400, previous game versus 2200. She drew in the first round, but she has 3.5 out of 4. Now I would like to show you 2 funny little things. Pragnananda, and just kind of 2 little separate storylines. So, Prague versus Abhimanyu Mishra. Mishra also have an incredible tournament. This one was a weird English. It was kind of like one of these non-openings. And White got a nice positional structure like this. White had some advantage, some pressure. And he tried to win for a long time. He was honestly unable to. Here's something funny. So, in this position, f5 was played. King f6 takes. And the computer evaluates this position as winning for white. It keeps claiming that white is winning. And it looks like, yes, maybe. But in this position, it's a fortress. Even though Prague is up a pawn, the way that the pawn and the knight are set up, there is no way for the king to cross the middle. And if the king goes here, I will just play b6, a5. It's actually kind of hilarious. And obviously, if the king gets there, I will just fork you. So Abhimanyu sets up a completely perfect defensive fortress, and the game is a draw. I think here, instead of taking, Prague should have went king f4, sacrificing his pawn so that this pawn was a weakness And if knight f5, of course, takes, d5 is just winning for white. You win the king and pawn endgame. And if black just, keeps stalling and doing nothing, you run out of moves. Now, I don't think it's a fortress. I don't think this is a fortress anymore because you have king e5. And this is not a fortress because you run out of moves. You have to move. So I think Prague was a king move away from winning this game, which is kind of nuts. Knight b5 was possible, fg, and then if king g6, king e5, and this is, again, not a fortress because king e3. It's not a fortress. Crazy. So Prague had a chance to win. Vidit had a chance to beat Ivanchuk. It was a rook endgame, and Vidit, in this position, had a forcing sequence. He could have went rook f5, traded into this endgame, played rook e7, kicked out the king, and is just winning because the rook completely cuts off the king, and he would have just promoted the pawn. And he didn't do that. Instead of playing rook f5, he went rook b8. And this allowed the king to run back to the pawn and stop it. And now the king for white, it's too close. Like little things. Two people who are having an amazing tournament as well. Alireza Firouzja versus Gumilars. Gumilars, I don't know how to say his last name. But from Poland, Gumilars now just won 2 games against 2600s and drew Firouzja. Performance rating 2900, 3 out of 4. The standings in the Grand Swiss are nuts. Parham drew Norderbeck, so he's winning the tournament. And then you have Mishra, Erdogmus, Maurizzi. The average age of these guys is like 15, and Gumilars. Gukesh is the literal world champ. Erigai's a monster. Norderbeck, Vincent Keimer also won his game. Look at them. Look at the threes. There are 13 players with 3 points. Like, this is a bloodbath of a tournament. This tournament shows you why we need to stop having tournaments that invite 10 players. Look at this field. Like, this is going to be the Hunger Games of chess. Like, these guys, we need more of these types of tournaments in chess. We just do. We need like 70 to 80 top players playing all the time. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Leaderboards on chess, they are coming out soon, and you should definitely check them out. And yeah, amazing game from Erdogmus. And you should get out of here.